My guest at this time plays Rooster Robbins on Star's hit show Heels. It is Alan Maldonado. Alan, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me here today, man.
No problem. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
Yeah, so Alan, before we get into this, before Heels, what was your pro wrestling fandom like? Did you grow up a wrestling fan? Are you an active wrestling fan? What is your fandom?
As a kid, I was big into wrestling. The Ultimate Warrior is by far my favorite. Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair. Then you got The Rock, Stone Cold. That was about the last time I was really actively into the wrestling scene was around The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay.
So by the time the series, I kind of gone cold with it until booking this role, and it kind of reactivated everything as a child, jumping off of couches and putting people in figure fours and all those things kind of reactivated once I got the role.
Awesome, man. And so did you check out some wrestling that's going on now to kind of prepare for the role? Was there anything in particular you sought out?
Yeah, listen, I watched a lot of documentaries. What is it? Behind the Cage, I believe.
Behind the mat.
I believe so. Like that's an incredible documentary series that I watched every episode. Started watching some of the new guys, but it was more about I wanted to know what was the behind the scenes. Like it wasn't. I wanted to know the people, the understanding of a lot of some of these traumatic situations that have happened with wrestlers in the past. Get that psyche because that's more of the story that we're telling with Heels is we're pulling the curtain back and giving people an insight of what goes on in that pursuit to be a WWE star, and you got to start at the indie level.
Yeah, and that's a great point, and one of the things I think that's so great about the show is, it's easy to look at like a Rock and you see the big colorful stuff and, the higher levels of pro wrestling, but you guys are really getting down into the dirt and showing kind of how the sausage is made here, having been around a lot of independent wrestling myself, I can tell you these are really complex characters. People do independent wrestling for a lot of reasons. Did you get to go to indie shows and kind of experience that culture firsthand at all?
No, we didn't have the opportunity to. This thing all happened when COVID hit.
Oh, that's true, man. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
totally. That experience of watching it. Now, I've been to a few in the past.
Okay.
But no, we weren't privy to that because COVID. We were one of the first productions actually back to work when this whole COVID thing hit and everybody was trying to figure out how to film and how things were going to be in this new world that we're living in. So yeah, that's what it was a challenge as far as in production, just getting through all of that. But our stunt coordinator, Luke, he actually runs an independent league himself. So he gave us a lot of insight just being a part of production.
Okay, man. Wow. Wow, that stinks. That I'd love for you to get to experience it. It's a real fun culture. Obviously, you get to present it here, So like you're in this bubble now where you've got Luke. Are you learning to wrestle? Like what was the training like for the movie when you were learning how to be a wrestler?
Oh yeah, you learned everything. Like we trained, especially me and James Harrison. We trained 6 days a week. In wrestling, we would get in there and work our routines, work the different the basics. So we worked before we got all of our routines for the show. We just learned the basics for weeks. So we went in there with the approach to become real wrestlers. I know I did, and several other actors did. We really wanted to be able to be a part of that. Like we were more like, man, we don't want to miss out on that. Like, yeah, we're acting the part, but I don't want to give the stunt double all the fun, So we began to challenge each other, and then next thing you know, we're doing the majority of the stunts. I know myself and James did.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's like a once in a lifetime chance. You're either going to learn to be a pro wrestler right now. You're given the chance. You're not going to learn to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
How was it? How were those bumps, man? Like, never done that. What was that
The
like?
bumps are real, man. Like that's where everybody, shout out to the entire cast. Like everybody took the bumps, man. Like you can't fake those. like,
Oh
like
no.
there's no acting. There's the idea and the premise that people can even dare to say that wrestling is fake. Let me clothesline you and you take a bump. And you
Yeah.
tell me how fake that is. Or even if you just throw yourself down and take your bump and you tell me how fake that is. We were filming this thing for 9 months. So by the end of it, my body was wrecked. And I can only imagine, these guys that are doing it night in and night out, every weekend, no breaks, no off seasons. My hat's off to all of the pro wrestlers, indie and, major. The amount of the beating that you take on your body, it takes a toll on you. So yeah, it's real.
Yeah, no, it hurt, especially if you've never done it, man. Those first couple bumps, I'd imagine you're walking a little stiff those first couple days after training.
Yeah, Advil is your best friend. Advil is your best friend. A nice hot tub is also a good companion. So you learn your body, definitely.
Okay. So was there anything in your training where you were like scared? Was there anything you were scared to do when you were out there learning how to be a pro wrestler and all this?
Like everything, like
all of it. Okay, wonderful.
Like backflipping, doing a moonsault, like backflipping off the top rope, like that was terrifying. The first time I did it, like I never backflipped before in my life before coming on this show. Like a lot of the things were driven out of definitely the bravado and all of that testosterone when you're in there and it's like one person's doing this move. It's like, okay, well, if he's doing that move, I can do the move. Let me go even higher. Like, so it had all of that kind of good natured competition as far as if one actor did this, it's like, oh, well, we're not going to just limit ourselves as actors to the idea that we can't do these wrestling moves and these stunts. So everybody kind of just opened up and everybody was in there doing all their moves.
Dan, okay, so let's flash back here real quick. So how you are really, really busy guy, Alan. Like, how does this idea even come to you? Like, how do you get involved with heels? Well, how did that come?
Wow. Mike OMalley, our showrunner. I worked with him in the past.
Okay, cool. By the way, time out real quick. I told my girlfriend knows him from some sitcom or whatever, and I was like, "That's the host of Guts." That's the host of Guts. That's right.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's forever. I don't care what he does. He can win an Oscar. He can. It's 17 Emmys. Peabody Award. No, he's the host of Guts.
Okay, cool. I didn't need to cut you off, but I'm a big Mike OMalley fan.
No, I love, man. I joke with him all the time, man. I'm a Maldonado O'Malley. Like I'm family in the sense of what this man has done for me in my career. So he was show running this project, and I reached out when I saw the role. I was like, this is an incredible role. I want to be up for it. So I had to go through the proper channels, even though that was my mentor and great friend. Wow. Audition, had to do a screen test, did a wrestling test, and ultimately won out the role. But being back with Mike OMalley, we worked with each other, Survivor's Remorse, and I also was in the writer's room with him for Survivor's Remorse. So we have a history of working together, and that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to be a part of it, because I know how hard that man works, and how much heart and dedication he puts into every and anything that he does. So I wanted to be a part of it.
So is Mike OMalley a wrestling fan, or no? Is this just a project he was interested in?
You know what? I don't know. Like, that's a better question for him. Like, I know he's a sports. I know he's a sports fan, to a diehard sports fan. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was a huge wrestling fan and I just missed it. But he's Boston out. So all you see him wearing is Boston Celtics, Boston, Red Sox and all that. And he's wearing some Tampa stuff now because this guy, Brady's over there. But he's a Boston guy.
Okay. All right. Who in your opinion gets to the top of the aggro crag the fastest in the cast? Who do you not want to be going up against when climbing that crag?
Oh man, that's James Harrison, man. Listen, Listen, that man is 280, 10% body fat, man. Like, that's not it's not normal. That's not normal. That's not a normal. I got clotheslined by him about 7 times in the first season. And shout out to our director Pete Siegel. But if he would have asked me to do an eighth, I would have demanded he get his ass in there and take this clothesline. Because again, those bumps don't lie. There's no acting. There's no acting when those bumps.
So you got to work with some guys that have actual on screen that have actual background in wrestling. I'll start with the star of the show, Stephen Amell. Mm-hmm. Like, what was it like working with Stephen? He's had a cup of coffee doing pro wrestling matches and stuff. Everybody knows he's a huge wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, just an incredible actor. Like, I'll start there. Everybody on the show kind of we're following his lead. He's the captain of the ship, and he set the tone, just acting wise and being really, really present and having this great grasp on a character, and it kind of just trickles down on everyone down. And then also, again, being able to have the experience of actually wrestling in the WWE, like that's something that none of us can, even fathom at this point. So his education, his experience, his leadership. So like, I'm honored to be a part of a Stephen Amell show, man. Like it's everyone, on the cast is pretty much jockeying off or bouncing off of his energy.
Yeah, dude. Well, how about the other guy? What was it like for you to work with CM Punk? This is, he's
CM Punk is cool, man. Like, I actually didn't have any scenes with CM, man. Like, but I got to be on set with him a couple of times and kind of just, talk about wrestling and just talk about different things. But he's incredible dude. Super cool, man. Super cool. And that's always great when you meet people that you are fans of and they're just great people, as well as the talents that you fell in love with.
Yeah, for sure, man. Did you get wrestling advice from CM Punk? I mean, he's a legend. Did he give you any notes?
I mean, we just was having a great conversation. We really didn't even get into the wrestling part. It was kind of later on in the season. Not to say that I wouldn't have been able to take any advice, but we just was kind of just having a conversation amongst men.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And so, like, Punk is obviously in AEW right now. Made the whole world go wild.
Yeah.
Steven has history with AEW, right? He's wrestled at All Out. I don't know. Like, the rest of the actors, you guys all trained to be wrestlers. Is there any chance you think we see some kind of heels AEW?
I would love it. Like, I'm an action junkie, so anything like that would be right up my alley. I have to try to convince James to do it, but I would love to get in there and actually do a real match, just to have fun, just to knock it off the bucket list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. Well, that's the thing is, like, I saw the Glowcast, right? And I was always, I thought they were going to do something with WWE because all those women, they learn. I think Chavo Guerrero may have briefly worked with you guys early on. Like,
Chavo. Shout out to Chavo, man. He the one gave us the, right before the pandemic hit. We were working with Chavo, and such an incredible. Now that's somebody I picked his brain as far as wrestling, just the psyche, and just he's the one that referred a lot of the documentaries that I studied. So definitely shout out to Chavo, man. He's definitely had his fingerprints on this show as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I think I'm flashing back now. You said the pandemic thing and a whole bunch of things went off. Because I talked to Chavo like over like a year or so ago about that. Didn't he like wind up leaving to go work on Young Rock instead because of all the pandemic?
I don't know what the reason why he wasn't able to do it.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it was a man.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, the champagne problems.
Yeah, I'm not throwing shade or saying anything.
Yeah, champagne problems, baby.
I'm just saying, like,
get your money, baby.
I think there was a gap there in anything. You do a lot of Hollywood stuff. Have you ever had the chance to cross paths with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson at all or anything?
Know what? Early on in my career, I auditioned for a film called Gridiron Gang. That was the longest and most excruciating audition process I've ever been in. It was 10 months of auditioning, countless auditions, a screen test with The Rock. So I tested with The Rock, and I had a football test. And the football test, I did great, but I was like 2 weeks out of a like car accident. I was, in so much pain. I went through hell for this audition. Didn't get it. Didn't get it. But I did have an opportunity to screen test with The Rock. So I've worked with him once before in that capacity, but never in like passing.
Was he cool?
Yeah, yeah, like it was super cool. Like this was, this is early Rock too. Like this isn't the guy that the superstar that he is now. So this is like when he was getting his foot in the game and they started really giving him opportunity as leads. So yeah, I would love to get the opportunity to work with him in the future.
Sure.
We got some history. We got some history. He owed me a film. He owed me a film. I'm going to start saying that. The Rock owed me a film.
It's good that you know how to wrestle now, Alan, because I do feel like pro wrestling is starting to take over Hollywood a little bit right now.
Yeah. Hey, put that on my resume now and the special skills.
Alan, I want to thank you so much. I really enjoy the show. You guys are really, I think, doing a service to pro wrestling, kind of showing the side of it to especially a lot of fans that may not know anything about independent wrestling or what people have to go through to kind of get that big opportunity or not get that big opportunity. What is that like, right? That's a big part.
Yeah, I think that's the thing where people can relate to this show, even if they don't follow wrestling. It's just people that are pursuing their dreams. That's what you're witnessing. You're watching a group of individuals that have similar goals and the trials and tribulations in pursuit of that, and it just so happens to be wrestling. And we can have these soap opera, style storylines built within within the show because of the design of wrestling. So there's so much drama that can be injected through this world, but ultimately it's about human development and people really chasing their dreams.
Awesome. Alan, is there anything you want to plug or promote or put over here before we wrap up the interview today?
Well, Hills is out. I got Wonder Years. I'll be starring in Wonder Years. That debuts September 22nd. And then starring in another animated series called Maya and the Three. Myself and Zoe Zandana. I think that'll be announced this fall. So coming soon to Netflix. I'm everywhere.